All right, back again here. Sorry, it looks like looks like the camera just kind of phased out. Got tired of being on for so long. Okay, we're just about done with the initial blue color here. A couple more quick areas. And then we'll jump into our highlight pass. Okay, so shoulders left, I believe. Shoulders, forearms. And I'm really not too concerned about it being a little bit thicker with this blue. Because when we come in with our lighter blue, we're going to be kind of playing inside these initial highlights. You don't want a big splotchy mess, but it's not... Oh, we did forget to get the left to right kind of horizontal in the back earlier. Yeah, right there. Still see a couple spots that I missed the first pass. Catch up on those. I think that feels pretty good. SRM launcher. I'm sure we're going to have some metallics in here later, but let's just do it in blue first, just in case. Backside of the other shoulder here. That. Generally, we're highlighting the top edge of things as if the light was hitting it. Not so much the bottom. And these kind of ribs, I don't know. You could do that a different color, like a black or a gray. Maybe we'll do them blue here, and then we'll decide what we want to do later on. If we're going to add anything or change it around at all. One downside with mixing a paint between 2 or 3 is you kind of have to keep reinvigorating, and every time you reinvigorate your paint, you have to get your mix right again, or at least double check that it's right. Oh, we had another mold line we missed. It's not the hands. I don't know if we're going to do the hands dark gray or metallic or black, or leave them blue, but we'll do them blue for now. Highlight them blue at least. I've been checking the artwork every so often from the Armored Combat box, and it looks like the gun is maybe like a light gray or possibly a white even. But we'll figure that out when we get to the highlighting of other colors. See what looks best, I guess. And still just using the edge of our brush. I know for sure the gun barrel is going to be, or the PVC barrel is going to be metallic later with some heat effect on it. So continue to do blue where the blue is. Okay, looking pretty good. I think we want to get the tops of the laser mounts here, because we're going to want those picked out with a nice bright blue on our next pass. Let's get a medium blue on it now. I think we'll kind of sketch in a couple lines, or there aren't really any. And same thing on this. The shoulder front. I think we'll do like a black metal metallic on the metal in the arm, the interior arm there. There's kind of arm actuator, shoulder actuator. And we will do the underside on this one. Just because I think that'll look sharp. Okay. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good there. Gonna get the other side of this fin. Yeah, I think that looks respectable. We're gonna do metallics inside the shoulder, kind of where the shoulder joint and the actuator would be. Same thing with the arm down here, the elbow internal there. We're gonna do metal, probably do a metal on the back, and then again for the inside the legs down in here. We're going to be doing metal there. So we don't have to worry about those parts. I know for sure those ones will be metallic. So let's grab our Mediterranean blue. And we'll see how it matches up as a highlight paint here, highlight color. Thin it out a little bit. And yeah, you could use any colors, any brands you want. Generally, I'll always pick out 3 colors at a time when I'm doing things. So I'll have a base color or a dark version of something like a dark blue that I start with, and then 2 highlight colors to go up with. And how does this feel? Is this bright enough blue? So they call it color triads, or doing things in threes. So when you're painting something, if you're painting, like a red cape, you're not going to use just red. You're going to have 3 reds. Either like a mid-tone and then a shadow or a highlight, or start from your lower one and then have 2 highlights coming up just for more contrast. Yeah, I think that's fine. We want this to maintain like a fairly regal blue, not so much like a turquoise. I think that's all right. So we're just sketching and highlight some more. So on the front of the model, the very apparent areas. Let's go across the panel here. Yeah, the very apparent areas where the light would be hitting the most. Actually, I'm going to introduce a little bit of white in there. So water, white paint. Mix it in on the edge here, because I think we can go a little brighter. Up here close, it's it's a fair difference. It looks quite different compared to the first blue we did. But if you're holding it at arm's length or on the table or something like that, we want it to pop a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit more aggressive. There you go. So I'm going to be doing less area than I did the first time. Generally, mostly, I'm going to be aiming for the tops of things, tops of panels. And then not even the whole. So if I'm mimicking the lines we did previously, a lot of times I won't paint the whole line. I'll paint just 30% of what I did previously. So there's kind of a fade effect. Partially the old blue, and then 20 to 30, 40% even of the new lighter blue. The foot, top of the feet. It's definitely a place that would be hit by light. Top of these shins, shin guards, or leg. And some of these parts will be covered with decals. Decals and stripes, but let's get them all down on this phase, and then we don't have to worry about touching stuff up later. I think that's good. We're not gonna. We will do a quick pass on the back. We're not gonna worry as much on the back as the front. just because if we're kind of keeping in our heads that the light is coming down on the front of the mech, it's probably not going to reach the underside of the back as much. But we still want to have some nice definition back here. I think you could certainly get similar effect with just using heavy washes over a plain, solid base coat, and then doing some dry brushing to get your highlights. But I prefer to edge highlight my colors. It's just you don't get as much of that dry, grainy look or that dusty kind of texture across the model. Some people dry brush one layer, kind of a light thing with a makeup brush, and then they'll just kind of reinforce the lines, and that's definitely a good time-saving method. Yeah, we don't need to underside too much. Okay, we'll jump to the top of the torso. And again, we're not going to do every line. We're not going to replace every line. We're just kind of reinforcing parts that will be high traffic for your eyesight. Mm-hmm. So I'm not used to talking while I'm doing it, so now I have a ton of other relative insights to this particular process. Just take your time, make sure you're always looking around and trying to find spots that you missed. If I'm doing something more realistic feeling, like not like a solid, bright, clean paint scheme, like a parade scheme, fresh out of the mech bay, a lot of times I'll do some chipping on a model. I don't know if we'll do that on this one, just some sponge chipping, or I'll have airbrushed, like a rust layer that we're agitating off the paint on top of the rust layer to be able to see it. I'll do quite often as well. That's a little too bright up there, I think. So this SRM launcher, it's not a perfect science here. I'm gonna darken that down a little bit towards the back. Actually, the whole way across. There we go. That looks better. It's easy to repair anything you've done you don't like if you just keep your previous paints on the palette. It's easy to jump back a step and knock down some colors if you've gone too high with a highlight. And the thinner your consistency is, the easier it is to get a nice fine edge on something. And I'm sure we're going to do metallics in that SRM launcher, so we're not going to worry about the interior of the SRM launcher. But yeah, generally if you're doing some kind of chipping or sponge chipping with a piece of pluck foam, that adds a lot of realism with just having general wear on the armor. That really blends in a lot of the colors. And I think we missed our original blue. This part of the arm, we're going to just sketch that in first and then put our highlight on top. But if you're edge highlighting and you want it to look more realistic when you've got that chipping on there, because you wouldn't have, you know, a straight hard edge that's perfect after you've done chipping on it. It would just look goofy, right? You're going to have a bunch of brown kind of speckled or spots where the metal has been exposed underneath. And then you're going to have like this bright, pristine edge highlight running along it or along the top of it. It would look a little silly. So in that case, what I'll do is I'll more kind of dot along the surface. So instead of doing a swipe where I have these solid lines, I would go like tick, 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 tick. Kind of do a bunch of dots instead. See if I can find a relevant area to show you on. This back shoulder plate here. So yeah, I do something more like dab ticks like that, kind of along it instead, and then it looks a lot more rough and broken up. That's in focus there. Yeah, so you can see this part here. Just dots like that instead of having straight lines. Actually, even that by itself looks pretty nice. If you don't like doing the hard brush edging. Sorry, my phone went to sleep there. We're good. Yeah, we're just about done. Just about done this part. So make sure we don't miss any things before we jump to the next part. I think these bands over the top of the cockpit, we're probably going to do something. We'll either do sketch in the color, kind of like Duncan Rhodes style that he popularized there, with his Mad Cat tutorial, or we'll do something like a metallic with a tint over top, a colored tint on it. But either way, I don't think we're going to have to do band. We're not going to make these bands blue. It'll either be metallic or a color. That's off. Keep it in frame so you can see, sorry. All right. And again, the hands. I'm guessing the hands and the gun are likely going to be a different color by the time we're done. All right, I feel like that is likely good enough. If we feel like we missed anything later, we can easily come back in. I know which paints we use, and we can add something later if we want to. But I feel like that's a good starting place. It's tough to know when to stop sometimes if you have no other colors in the model, but if you've got your once you've got your metallic sketched in and your highlight colors, it definitely looks a lot more cohesive as an actual model or an actual idea of what you're trying to paint as a whole, instead of just a block of blue with a bunch of lines on it, right? All right. Oh, actually, we will get these vents down here. They should be picked out. Probably some of these. And looking at that, probably over here. Which means this one. It's just a never-ending hunt for things you missed. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So we've sketched in all the edges that we need. The highlight, I would say the highlight peaks look a little brighter on camera than they are in person. They look a little more powder blue in the video, but I think that's fine. All right, groovy. Let's we'll get set up for the pinstriping, and we'll do that next.